Board is returning from a executive session into our regular session for December 3rd, 2025. Oh, is this on? Yeah, it's on, right?
Hello.
Yeah, it's on. We're returning from a executive session, so this is a regular meeting for December 3rd, 2025. We're going to open up this evening with a public comment, or a public hearing, I should say, on the district-wide safety plan, which is updated each year, and it will be submitted to New York State. So if there's any public who would like to make comment, this is the moment to do it.
Yeah, I agree.
Doesn't appear there is anyone. No, I'm saying for the public comment for the public safety, the district-wide safety plan public hearing, there isn't anybody. So we're going to move on and open up the evening with Dr. McCarthy's superintendent highlights. Thanks, Frank.
We're going to shift over. Thank you, Frank.
You going to go next?
I'm ready. Sorry. I'm pointing here. All right. So, again, much of the credit for what's before you for the next several slides is with Melissa DiBera and Kara Tamayo, who's our communications associate. Like how I mangled names, that's why I don't do radio. So, featuring a look in here, and again, I can't turn and see. That's the one issue with the setup here. So I'm going to kind of do the Chicago lean. So it's a look in at, they had a visit to the Westchester Children's Museum and showing that yes, learning happens within Hillside, but also organized ventures out. I will riff a wee bit that my guest reading has started again. They're letting me back in. So I go to every single elementary classroom, read the same book for each of the grades. So kindergarten's a book, first grade's a book, second grade's a book, third grade, fourth grade, picked by the teachers. Started out yesterday. The only book I pick is the kindergarten book. It's The Napping House by husband and wife team of Wood. It's a phenomenal book, and it has all kinds of wonderful layerings to it. And I have to tell you, if you want some joy, get into our elementary classrooms. A lot of learning is happening. And I know we have two former kindergartners on our board here, but and I'm assuming that they were as sharp as these kindergartners
Actually.
within our district.
I also went to Hillside.
All right, as I said, we're all sharp.
For the record.
Thank you.
Quick, I'll move to the next slide. All right, so I'll start over. No, okay. So then, this is big news. Again, there's a theme here of beyond our walls. So the theme of tonight is beyond our walls. So we went beyond our walls for Hillside, and here is beyond our walls. So our debate team, and we're thrilled with Davida Cruz's leadership of this debate team the last several years, and you can see that it's really producing. And yes, wonderful outcomes in terms of trophies and all the rest. I do know that most important is the learning along the way for these students working with Ms. Cruz and what it means to have a point of view, present that in a competitive environment, verbally and otherwise. So great news here. And going beyond our walls to compete. I keep going backwards, sorry. The next several slides relate to the 36th year of Project Share. And I don't know if Joaquin or Ellie want to do a quick little summary of it. I know Joaquin was there in his soccer gear, not his Project Share gear, but Ellie, you were there. So do you want to speak to this a bit? I've got several other slides, so just tell me when you want me to advance it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this is something I look forward to every year, and I do kitchen duty with my friends, and we have our own little community, and honestly, it's such a fun bonding. And also when you can go downstairs and meet the kids and like actually connect with them. Like I had a kid who I was dancing with the whole night and playing tag with, and I thought that was so adorable, and everyone was just so lovely, and just being able to help out other communities really fills your heart during that time of the year.
Impressive this year was one of the largest number of student volunteer groups that in a while. And I'm going to show you an image that captures that in a second. I think as you all know, the food is under strict guidance from professionals prepared by the students, and we think that there were some 800 people. Here's food preparation. That's not a small number of pies, and you can see the geometry work in the slices, and then preparations over here on the right, which leads to, truly, if you've not been in, it's a banquet. Corcoran Gym transformed, and you see here on the right, and all the shirts with the writing on the back and the black, those are the Project Share shirts. And those are all of the volunteer students. A few of the faculty are in there and staff. Great turnout from administrators, teachers that night. And I think, again, I said about maybe Jean feels there are about some 500 to 600 guests.
Amazing.
Now, the talent show, which is the H Student Union with the Hastings Police Department. I don't know, were you going to mention this in your run-up? You want to hit it now or wait for your run-up?
Yeah, the talent show is the last SU fundraiser of 2025. Historically, it's always been one of the most successful ways to raise money for the SU and all their projects. There's going to be policemen there, emceeing, judging. We're going to have SU judges, I think, and our very own Mr. David Barone is going to be a judge as well there.
Celebrity judge.
So this is going to be this Friday night. Elle and I will both be there, and it's going to be amazing.
So are you putting your talents on the stage?
Unfortunately, no. I will be in the audience, but there will be a lot of other talent from my peers and students in the high schools.
Okay, great. And then upcoming is Annie, Junior. And Senior Citizen Concert and Dinner, this is a big deal. Maureen, do you want to speak to this? Because you're one of the people who really make sure this happens.
Okay, here we go. So our annual, for those who are not familiar with it, each year we host our seniors in our village to come and see a preview of the winter concert, which is, also acts as a dress rehearsal, so they get really great seats, and they do get the full concert, and they really enjoy this, and they come in, and we coordinate with the village senior coordinator, Ann Russick, as well as any other seniors. She helps us get the word out. We also have some folks bust in from Andrus and other places if they need the rides through the village, who will really help us putting this on. And then after the show, we host a nice dinner for them, and we have student volunteers who help us serve, and administrators, and any board members that would like to come, please come and attend. It's a great night. There's some folks that, at least since I've been involved, for the last 10 plus years, they come every year. There's some of them reserve tables. It's funny. It's very, very sweet. And, a lot of different groups, and they really just love being in the school and seeing the talent of our students. And it also acts as kind of an intergenerational dinner, because a lot of even the students that are performing come and they chat with our seniors. And it's really just one of the nicer events, I think. Similar to Project Share, it's a great event.
Did you do it with the senior council? Is that how you?
We work with the senior advocate, Ann Russick. So she gets the word out. We send her a flyer, and she helps us, get the word out amongst the seniors. And and then even we have a lot of repeat customers. They're always kind of waiting for it. So I think the last years we somewhere in the 75 seniors attend, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little less.
It's a full room.
It's a full room, yeah. We set up for like over 120, and then we have about 75 students that also attend, because it's the chorus, the band, it's like all the different groups. So I think that's a good 50 to 70 students. So it's chaotic at times, but it's a great event, and it's festive. And even times when the weather hasn't been great, we still get a great turnout. So.
Great.
Yeah. we're happy to, so come on down if you're around.
Is information about the event sent out to traditional village channels as well?
I believe so. We do send, I mean, Ann does work for the village as the senior advocate, so I would imagine she has access to all the seniors. And again, they even have a connection with Andrus because again, they use the senior busing. We'll go around for any of those folks that need that as well. So, yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, it's actually, in terms of community participation, it's one of the largest events we have in terms of turnout. And then kindergarten registration, I think still within the theme of Beyond Walls, because this is encouraging newcomers to join us from who aren't here yet and get the theme of earlier of kindergarten. This will cooperate, right? High school scholarship night upcoming. Slide's quite clear. And then here's the traditional end of what's coming at us. And I think the theme of Beyond Our Walls hit every single item here. So it's important for us, even as a small district, to be constantly reaching out and extending our talents and energies and support and caring beyond just what we do here in the schools. So there's your twice a month report with tons of mispronunciations.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you. Moving on to Maureen Carball's business update regarding, I think, the buildings. Or is it, we're going to talk about the Farragut wing?
Yeah, the Farragut wing. So there's nothing much to report, but just as the board is aware, we do have a weekly meeting. At the meeting this week, the progress is running smoothly. All the various trades are working fully, manning the job fully, meaning there's different points they have less folks on site, and currently everything is moving along to schedule. There's no difficulties that have been identified that haven't been resolved in the field, and we'll continue to monitor their progress. We're still, again, the date we've been reporting out, which is at January 15th, where the building would be turned fully over to us, or at least the first top 2 floors. And again, as I mentioned, we'd be, likely able to start moving in furniture and tech and all the rest sometime late December, early January. But again, it wouldn't be ready for occupancy till mid-January. And then moving on to our OCAM meeting.
Can I just add one thing?
Sure.
Yeah, Maureen, working with Dan and Lauren, and the board got copies of this, put together very detailed planning documents. We'd had a couple meetings with staff who rightly so wanted more detailed information, and so we provided that. It includes schematics of what each classroom that we'll all be returning to. A strong theme is that we are going back to the building we left. So teachers and others largely are going back to the spaces they had. There have been some creative ideas emerging for the future, but those will have to be once we're past the bond. There are, as you know, as a board, quite significant changes though. HVAC, fire suppression system, all new electrical to code, well, distributed electrical. But again, I want to thank Maureen, working with Dan and Lauren, for getting good detailed information that's interactive out to the teachers, and a number of the teacher coordinators have expressed their appreciation for that information. Okay.
Yes, so then in terms of our bond update, we did have an OCAM meeting today, and then the following updates were spoken about today. There were site borings. We had done some initial site borings where the addition would be located. Once you do a certain amount of pre-work, but then you don't do like the full scope of kind of borings until bonds are typically finalized, because then they're further into the design process. The good news is the borings had been done a few weeks ago. We received the report. The soil conditions of the area, the entire area, are very favorable. And that's connected to what Rena and team, some of the designs or some of the ideas that they presented to the board the other day. One of the things that wasn't, I don't recall if it was discussed here, there was an opportunity to add a basement level that would connect to the existing basement instead of just kind of building it on footings. And there's two kind of things. If the soil conditions are favorable to that, it's actually can be less expensive than just excavating the whole area, but it it was something that was needed to be fully flushed out. So we received the information. We're now able to have a full basement level to that addition that was not, which storage is always something that all schools need and allows us not to use up some spaces that could be used for other things on other levels, could be now freed up for
And
storage.
this is sort of like a net zero budget-wise?
Oh, it's net zero, yeah.
That's great, okay.
Yeah, and it's actually, you know, because there would have to be some type of footing, and this would replace the cost of the footings and potentially be less expensive, quite
That's
frankly,
great.
because of that. So that was good news, and that was what actually the design team had hoped for, just in terms of, you know, it's obviously better to have basement than to just have footings. So we were all very pleased with that, and that's how the design is moving forward. And as they showed the last time, as they've kind of been able to get further along in their development design, they had put in an elevator, which again, initially we weren't sure whether within the budget could handle, and like, they're pretty confident that that is now will be, you know, not.
That was the elevator, that was, that it goes
Within
into
the cafeteria, yep.
Oh, so we had spoken about sequestering the space for one. Are we talking about that, or we're talking about actually funding?
No, we're talking about actually putting, I mean,
Putting
as
elevator.
of right now,
Wow.
they're moving forward with a design that includes that, not just the space, but the actual elevator.
great.
And again, that's within the money. And a lot of it does have to do with like just finding out, the more they do further investigation, they always have to assume, in some ways, like the worst soil, not the worst, but and as much as you do a lot of exploratory work beforehand, I mean, that work is quite expensive, and, you know, the efforts you put before a bond is approved, you know, there's a balancing act of how much you spend in professional services prior to that. So the good news is, as things are coming back more favorable, even in terms of asbestos abatement or other types of concerns in constructability and things of that nature, as they're understanding the design more and further along, they're now feeling more comfortable that that can be accomplished.
Great news.
Yes, and then in terms of another meeting that occurred last week, and it's related to the addition, is, as many of you may be aware, we have solar panels on both buildings that are operated by an outside company. They rent space from us. There is solar equipment, electrical equipment, which we were aware of, that is located on where the addition needs to go. So that equipment just has to be relocated. So there needed to be coordination, and that continues to be something we're working on, just in terms of the timing of that. And of course, if there's some downtime, that would mean that we, as we shouldn't, receive the revenues of rental. And then if there's anything in terms of relocation, there may be some cost for us to bear, but I don't think it'll be significant. And that, again, is part of kind of what contingency we anticipate in terms of construction. Field and masonry plans, the plans for the athletic fields were submitted last week to the state, as well as the masonry plans. So these are things in which, in terms of our schedule, where we show the plan submitted to the state, and that, of course, is, you know, our hope is that it stays on the schedule that the architects shared with the board, so that we can, you know, award those bids or go out to bid in the spring of '26, right? So we're happy that those are up there. Thus far, they have not heard anything back from the state, you know, I mean, it's a short period of time, but they're a little, you know, this is the time of year where things slow down a bit, though, in December. So, but we're glad that they're up there. Hillside HVAC testing, again, related to bond work. That's really for the mechanical and HVAC upgrades. There was, again, part of the contingency included what they weren't clear if how much abatement would be necessary. Again, those testing are coming back more favorable. Then there will be some abatement, but maybe not to the extent that they had planned for. So these are all good as far as our budget status. So overall, the current project estimates are all coming in below budget at this stage of the game. I mean, but that being said, that's good, because there's always something that could, during construction, you typically need more money, so.
Well, that's a lot of good news.
Yeah.
So keep it coming.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Maureen. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, I wanted to compliment Maureen. That was a very elaborate schedule. A lot of thought and effort went into it. It was like really a lot of stuff, class by class, and the survey was a great idea.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's really good to see it's coming together.
Yes.
Yeah. A quick question just on the days that we're the inclement weather days. Is that for all schools, including Hillside?
In terms of the transition?
Yeah, the
We
dates
haven't
for
finalized that yet.
Okay.
We have thought about that. We also are thinking how much can we get done within existing time. We're actually working very closely now with the union leadership on that because a lot of it is making sure we're responsive to teacher concerns on that. So we put out potentially 2, we'll see. We have excellent weather advice in this district. The weather advice is saying we are looking at potentially a trickier winter and advising us to keep as many arrows in the quiver, quote unquote, as I was advised as possible. We were in school yesterday, but it was quite an early storm for significantly north of us. So we're factoring all this in. And a prime move week for us is when the high school's in exams. So there is a little more flexibility there. So we haven't finalized this. A lot of the interest, final comment regarding the 2 days was potential and also really listening to teachers nervous about having the adequate time. So that's where we're working now closely with union leadership. We may be able to really get to a nice balance. So a lot of words, simple statement, we're working on it. No
Okay.
commitment yet.
Thank you.
Is that?
Thank you.
Yeah,
Marie.
no, I think that's fair, and I think each school's different, right? Because you have the middle school, you have the high school who has regions in January, so, that may not be an optimal time. So I think this one may be based upon, it may look different at every building. It may not, it may only be one building, or, so.
I just want to second what Maureen complimented you on, and also I really loved the way the whole thing was presented, particularly even to do it with FAQs, I think was really kind of covered everything, and it was exciting to see that movement is soon.
Yeah, a lot, and a lot of the questions, those are directly that, the teachers, they actually provided us. Yeah, and it's ongoing, and I think as they're able to kind of see the spaces, I do believe that'll help people. I think it's even more difficult to envision, like some of the, once, there'll be a time in which, before we're able to move back in there, it will be safe enough. Of course, you are allowed to go there, and maybe as they're able to kind of see their spaces as the cabinetry is being put in, and I think that'll really help. Like when you can it's hard to look at a plan and really visualize your space. I think it'll even make people feel a lot better once they're able to see some of those spaces, and then that'll help them as they're thinking about how best we can support organizing them and getting them back in smoothly as possible.
And I, as Maureen knows and will agree, we handed the challenge to Lauren Iorio, and she put that together with very fast, responded. Maureen kept editing, giving critique, but Lauren Iorio was really the one
It's great.
who put that whole thing together and quite quickly.
I was in town today, and 2 different people stopped me and asked, they don't even have kids in the school. Well, one actually has grandchildren now, but about when was the building going to be ready, and they were so surprised and really pleased. I think people are going to be really happy when this
And Bill and I, well, Bill, you were in it last week, we were in it last week, and, again, the 5th grade floor, it really is, there's no doors outdoors, but like the ceilings are up, the grids are up, the electric's up, the walls are done. It's painted. It's not, the flooring, they have to do certain things before the flooring, like the self-leveling is done, then they put the flooring in, of course, in different, they work from the top down. But, by, I would say, another couple weeks, the 5th grade would be substantially complete. Because, the ventilation's and the fire suppression, like all of those things are done up there. The univentilators were in place, and they were ducted in and connected, so, yeah. That floor in particular looks very nice. And the ceilings are at a higher, they brought the ceilings up.
Yeah,
They were
revealed the
dropped
windows
quite
more.
a bit before, yeah.
Yeah, it's remarkable.
It is remarkable.
gonna
They're
be a
quite
lot of-
high.
a lot of
It
people
changes the way those rooms feel.
Yeah, there's a lot of people to thank once it
Yeah.
opens up. Just think
So,
back
it
where
makes
we
you feel
were.
better once you kind of, if that's how I know that once people are able to access it, it'll also help them feel better about the move-in,
Yeah, and one thing we are looking at, because I don't want people any surprises, we're very optimistic around that date. It also means that garden level floor, the basement floor, which is offices, the faculty room, and one classroom, there may be some finished work that might still be done, but we can still get the partial occupancy. So if we can be using the floors above, We were planning to be fully done, and they plan to fully hand it off on the 16th. But if that comes up, no, we're looking eyes wide open at that. That was a discussion in this week's coordinating meeting. And, we can get, as Maureen assured us, we can get the necessary certification, even if that's the case. And if it's offices that aren't quite ready to be moved in yet, but classrooms have been, we feel good about that. We also are not taking the pressure off, though, to be done.
Yeah.
So.
And some of it would only because there were a couple, some events that were new for downstairs, so you're not going to hold up. Again, you can occupy that space, it's above it, no one would be working. They'd be working second shift anyway, but the architects would be able to sign off on our ability, and that's between the 2 floors, that's 12 classrooms, 3 resource room, meaning above that. So of course, we're not going to wait.
Yeah.
If there's 2 rooms that we have to wait an extra week or 2 for, we're going to be able to occupy the majority of the space. But again, as Bill said, they're not saying we won't be done in time, but that would be, as I said, they work from the top down. I mean, they're working on all floors, but that'll be the last floor that will be completed, and that is primarily only offices. And again, we're only talking about an extra week or 2, if worst case scenario for those rooms.
That's great. We'll look forward to it for sure. Thank you very much. Moving on to a report from Dr. Szymanski with an update on Panorama, I believe, right?
Yes, just a brief update from me this evening. So the Panorama Diagnostic Screener was administered in early November. We had a strong overall participation rate at approximately 93%. So we had a robust participation rate. Lowest participation were high school seniors, right? So there was some variation there, and we're trying to understand that. We've gotten a little bit of preliminary feedback from students, and that's important. We want to understand that a little bit better. So we'll be engaging in some focus groups to consider our next steps, both with the Panorama Screener and with our social emotional diagnostic altogether. So I will first begin by saying Lori Affiero, Director of School Counseling, has already reviewed the data with the counseling department, and the counselors have been using the data to identify and support at-risk students, and we will continue to work with the data in alignment with the recent data review cycle in terms of who has eyes on it and when. So that is in motion. We are continuing to consider whether this will be the screening instrument that we use next year, and again, I reference student input as an important part of that, because valid and reliable data is only valid and reliable. It's not just on participation, but it's are people taking it seriously when they're taking it, and if not, why? And another thing that we uncovered is that a student can complete 85% of the screener, and then for whatever reason, if they haven't finished it, it will show that a non-participation. So it's actually not counting them unless they've completely, and that's hot off the presses. We're getting newer and newer information as we dig more deeply into this instrument. So we are committed to robust analysis in support of student well-being, ensuring valid data, and we're in motion.
Thank you, Dr. Szymanski. Any questions?
Can I just ask a question about it? And I apologize if this has already been talked about, but is there any discussion of giving it maybe only twice a year and not 3 times?
There was some discussion around that, and then we thought about making sure that we had that middle checkpoint, because at the beginning of the year, students are acclimating, but we're continuing to think about maybe twice might be enough.
Maybe a little bit later than the middle checkpoint.
Right, and actually some
3
direct...
times seems like a lot to me to be giving a repeat performance.
I think it's really good feedback, and we'll continue to probe it in partnership with the faculty and with the students too. I'm looking at the students. You're not on the spot.
Yeah, I can add to that, because we meet monthly with the student union, and this was a topic with representatives of the student union. And there was an important understanding. They themselves said this is really important to do, and also not sure how seriously all the students are taking it. So that's why you see here we want to follow up this year, which is standard methodology, with some focus groups to sort of probe and understand. And then that may relate to fewer administrations by at least 1 to kind of up the value of it. So we're looking at that, and we're listening to student leadership on that.
Yes, And of course, we value multiple measures. So from our counseling team, the students who they identified as at risk coming through the survey were already identified. So they already had a very clear handle on that, and then this was an additional piece of information, so.
Thank you, Dr. Smiski. Thank you. Moving on to Assistant Superintendent of Pupil Personnel Services, Dean Ferruccio. Thank you.
So continuing with our professional development initiative, I have some good updates for you because we have made, in my opinion, very good strides. Our PAF reading program initiative.
I'm sorry, Jean,
yes.
do you mind speaking a little bit closer to the microphone?
Oh, sure.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So the first cohort of 10 teachers, special ed teachers, E&L teachers, and speech language pathologists completed their 12 hours of training in PAF, Preventing Academic Failure reading program. And once they completed this training, they'll now be following up with screening and grouping students and beginning their instruction. And they're very eager to start this instruction. We received a lot of very positive feedback from our teachers. Now, the second cohort of 10 teachers will be receiving their training over 3 sessions, January 8th, the 15th, and the 22nd. We'll then have 8 additional hours of on-site coaching, followed by unlimited coaching via email and Zoom, as well as access to the first Wednesday of every month from 2 to 3 with the trainers of PAF that they had been working with. The program is very, very interested in maintaining a nice partnership with Hastings. In terms of CPI, another initiative, trainings this past October and November took place with initials and refreshers for our aides and our TAs and monitors. Now, December 8th, we'll have a verbal component training only with monitors and aides, and on December 9th and 10th, we'll have another initial training for our new aides, monitors, and administrators through BOCES. March 18th, Superintendent's Conference Day, we'll have training for our teachers. So we're excited about all of that, and this is an initiative that should continue ongoing through next year and years to come. In terms of our GNR training, Jen Turner from Goldman Sauer in Rutherford provided 5 full days of training in our high school co-taught classes, doing classroom observations, coaching, and debriefing. She has 3 more sessions to go, ending her instructional support in February. This initiative had been very well received. I believe that it would probably be worthwhile to continue this initiative next year, since co-teaching is a very prominent model in our district. So that's something that I really do believe should continue, and the teachers are truly benefiting from that support. We also recently hosted in November, Deborah Ehrenberg from Access VR for our middle school and high school pupil personnel special ed staff in November, this past November. She provided valuable information about the new focus of pre-employment transition services for students with disabilities. The focus now is for students ages 14 through 22. Previously, it had only been for students in the 11th and 12th grades. So we're thrilled about this. Yes, it's a huge shift. Services include self-advocacy work, like understanding disability, their disability, and accommodations, how to effectively communicate and advocate for yourself, work readiness skills, resume writing, practice interviewing, strategies to deal with coworkers, job exploration counseling, learning about in-demand occupations, completing interest inventories, exploring career interests, work-based learning opportunities, helping connect school experiences to work opportunities and future career planning, and finally, post-secondary counseling. learning about college admissions process, applying for financial aid, disability-related resources, how to request accommodations post-secondary, exploring training options related to career fields of interest. And so we'll be sharing this information next with SEPTA at upcoming events. Because we'd like to get this out into the community. Several parents have approached us since we received this training, and we are providing them with flyers on next steps, what to do next. There are agencies out in the Westchester community that will support our students. We're advising parents to seek support from them. The school will help providing the information that's needed to complete the application process for Access VR, like the IEP, like evaluations, whatever is needed, the school will help and support the agencies in getting this process moving for individual students and parents. So staff continue to access workshops and trainings through BOCES and Tri-States, including some very valuable trainings that we recently attended. One on the intersection of special education and ENL services. That was very valuable because it's a challenging process, to determine one over the other or both. So Section 504 was another valuable training, and a series of workshops through Westchester County Office of Community Mental Health. They're all virtual, and it's a whole series throughout the course of the school year. Many of our school psychologists and our social worker are attending these. I completely and totally enjoy them, and they're extremely informative. Also, McKinney-Vento trainings, IEP development, and students once again participating in the IEP process, all very valuable for upcoming annual reviews. We are continuing our search for a presenter on neurodiversity and autism spectrum disorder for our March Superintendent's Conference Day. We've reached out to district parents who may be able to provide presenters to meet our needs. Next steps, if we cannot get a presenter that we feel would be appropriate for our needs, we would then reach out to BOCES Guidance Center and our Teacher Center to support us. We've also met with our SEPTA for pre-coffee and coffee meetings at Hillside. The coffee was very well attended. Everybody, this was my first, so I had nothing to compare it to, and I have to tell you, I was very impressed, very interactive, a lot of questions on topics including our special education leadership organization, including our professional development opportunities, student supports as well, the continuum of special services. And and as they've done in the past, SEPTA now will be awarding grants for each school, open to any educator, not just special ed teachers, but any educator or service provider, as long as the intended goals are to support our children with IEPs in their learning process. For instance, what's come across my desk, a couple of them are requests for chair glides, magnetic light shades, sensory vests, and many other requests have been made through application. We're continuing to work on our SED monitoring. A large verification process involving numerous reports is upcoming in January, involving things like student classifications, levels of integration in the general ed class, grade level breakdown, private schools, the number of special ed personnel, and many other categories and different types of reporting that we need to do for January. January 20th is our deadline, so we need to get those in on time. We continue also to review and plan for our students' needs for the upcoming school year as it relates to our continuum of special services, all in preparation for our annual review process. We're providing also triennial reevaluations as needed. Every 3 years, a student under IDEA is entitled to a full and complete evaluation in areas of disability. And we're also working, once again, through our budget process. As always, we're supporting our students' needs ongoing through CSEs, through our 504s, and through case conferences.
Wow. Jean, thank you very much.
We're moving along.
Any questions or comments?
No, thank you, Jean. You're really, you're doing a lot for a lot of
Thank you.
different areas, so
Yeah.
appreciate all that effort. Thank
We're
you.
excited. We're excited about it. And I think that our teams in all 3 buildings are very motivated. Yeah, they're
Great.
a wonderful group of people. I just sat in this actually today in our high school where there had been a lot of turnover, as you may recall, at the beginning of the year in their department meetings. I've been going to those meetings fairly regularly. And I shared with them how impressed I am with how much collaboration, how much they are motivated and volunteering to be a part, an integrated part of the high school. I've had an opportunity to sit in on their classes as well, formally evaluating, and I am really impressed. This is a very, very nice group of people who are skillful.
Great.
Yeah.
That's great
Yeah.
to hear. Thank you.
Good.
Yeah, I was just going to ask. First, yeah, thanks so much. It's a lot, and thank you for providing a lot.
course.
I was just curious how, I think it's been a couple months since you rolled out the org chart, and just curious how it's been working and kind of how the reception has been with both staff and parents, and kind of how we're feeling about it overall.
Well, a lot of questions by the parents, and we've been providing explanations. When a new position comes into play, like this position as an assistant, interim assistant superintendent, and also the chairperson, those are brand new positions, or actually recycled position, our chairperson. It takes some time, and this is what I've been sharing too. We can give our best guesstimate about what, how to define the role, but it evolves over time. It clearly does, based upon that individual's strengths, based upon our needs. So it's, something that will evolve over time, and we ask that people be patient with it, and assuring everybody that their needs will be met, their questions will be answered. If not by one person, that individual then would direct them to another individual who can better answer their question. So I think, and I've said this at our meetings, that I feel that it is a very, very strong team, a very capable group of individuals who are very well motivated and excited to be doing the work.
Yeah,
So,
that's great.
yeah.
And I would just second or third thanks, and also just point out, we're a small district, and we sort of depend on sort of force multipliers, and what's impressive beyond the work that people are doing, it's the connecting of resources that already exist and making them more powerful by making those connections, and it's fantastic to see.
That's
So
great.
thank you.
I'm glad. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to student report time. So Joaquin or Ella, who wants to go first?
Okay. So starting off, it was mentioned earlier, but next week is the Hastings Theater Program's presentation of 5th grade musical of Annie Jr. And so these young actors will get to showcase their amazing talents through characters such as Miss Hannigan, Annie, and I think it's Daddy Warbucks. And so I cannot wait to see these young performers thrive, and it's a very fun musical to do. And on the topic of theater community, Hastings One Acts have started up, so people are already starting their rehearsals. I believe the cast list has already come out too. So it's going to be a lot of rehearsing in these next few months, and it's certainly going to be funny as it always is. So I cannot wait to see what they come up with. Next Monday, we have off for Superintendent's Day and parent-teacher conferences in both the middle school and high school. So these will be on Monday and Thursdays. Thursday is evening FMS conferences and night HHS conferences. And then a little about a class that I'm currently taking, which is Super English. And so we're going on a trip to the New York Public Library next week, which is going to be very exciting. and I know we're all looking forward to it because we get to eat lunch at Bryant Park. We're going to be able to go through activities that mirror our lessons in class, which alters our perception of how we view things in our everyday lives, and which is very interesting. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. And honestly, it's one of my favorite classes because of how it shapes how we view how society is shaped through different systems and how everything is interconnected, and it's a very interesting course. So if you have any juniors who need to sign up, I suggest they take them.
So thank you. Okay.
This Thursday, there will be a parent college night, a 6-panel college discussion with admissions representatives from a variety of colleges and universities geared towards junior class and their parents as we slowly start or continue, in many cases, our college admissions process. I'm not sure how many schools have a conference like this, but I know me and a lot of my friends are going to be taking advantage of this. And we also have our concerts coming up. The high school concert is Thursday the 16th, band, orchestra, and chorus will all be performing. And the FMS 7th and 8th grade concert is the 12th. It's a big moment, obviously, for both. But especially for the 8th graders. So something that I've noticed in orchestra a lot is that the jump between middle and high school orchestra it's a really big one. So students have to decide then whether they want to make the commitment to wake up early to be playing with this big group. It's a lot more common for 8th graders to drop their instruments at this time, transitioning, but I don't think I've really seen someone already playing in the high school group drop an instrument and quit band, orchestra, and chorus. So I think it's just really important that we highlight that the 7th and 8th grade performance and the spring concert is just as important for the growth and the overall continuation of the music program in general. And we already touched on the talent show, so that's it for us.
That's lovely. Thank you. Thank you both. Moving on to public comment. There is no public, so move on to business items. Are there any questions or comments regarding business items 1 through 6?
I had a question, if Maureen could give a little bit of a reminder, a refresher on the renew number 6.
Yes, so this is consistent with what we had discussed earlier at a meeting when we kind of broke down where we were with the Farragut restoration, and that there was a lot of work that was things in which were above scope of what would have been covered by insurance, simply because even with the fire suppression system as an example, there was one that existed, but of course it was old, but like from an insurance standpoint, they couldn't, it would have functioned at its, with some modifications to adhere to kind of allowing the building to be open. I think it was an opportunity for us to have the system redone, and I think at that time we had to make a decision kind of in the moment when things were being renovated. So the contract here really reflects the difference between the insurance and the improvements that we're able to actually do at a much lower price point than would be the case at a later time, because you have kind of a blank slate. We're talking about upgrading systems in some cases that were, I'll say, well over 50 years old, and really bring it up to code at a much more affordable price point. And as I had mentioned, we do have these filed with New York State Education Department, which means that then we will be submitting at the completion of this work, because it would be eligible for building aid. So this is the layout from the district. There would be eligibility for building aid for this part of the project. So, we're hoping to get, again, that gets paid over a 15-year period, but again, it's still something that would be consistent because we do have a permit on this work. And there was work, even beyond speaking about those larger systems. Oh my gosh. Excuse me. It's fine. The HVAC and things that were bringing the building up to code, as even outside of where the water came in, when the building, once it was in the beginning of renovating, we did find other existing conditions that, are part of this, that were outside of the scope of the insurance. So those are things we learned later. These are things that, whether it happened then or at a later date, we would have had to fix, and especially when walls and things are moved around and all the rest, and you see kind of conditions that existed that were out, what I would call outside the flood zone. So that is also part of what we're paying for here. So again, it's a lot of work that would have cost us a lot more money. Again, it wasn't something that we had planned for or hoped for, but this is, once the scope was determined by our architects in conjunction with permitting agencies and requirements and all the rest, some of it was definitely, I would say, elective work. Other of it is pre-existing conditions, things that we discovered in the ceiling. I mean, it's a combination of a bunch of things, but again, really, as much as I was saying that to one of our custodians today, when you bid out a job like we're doing with the bond, the cost is it's actually a lot more expensive, quite frankly. I mean, in this case, in some ways, we are benefiting from getting some work done at a less expensive price tag. So I think sometimes, even for myself, when you look at the total cost of renovating the whole building, it does kind of seem small in comparison to some of the bond totals. So again, that's what this represents. We're at now a point in time where we would start to pay them. That's why you see this kind of official paperwork that speaks to the amount. And again, if there could be things by the end, and it may be just small things like, the district, if there was some other small amounts, there could be a modification of a few $1,000s in either direction. And I know even there's some credit change orders we might be receiving back for a few $1,000s. So that's more or less what we're paying. That's a long answer, but I just wanted to give a little more context to remind people that there were quite a few components of it. There were upgrades to systems. There was some work that was discovered that was outside of the flood damage that the contractor was handling on behalf of the district that needed to be addressed.
Yeah, so
Okay.
standard operating
Yes.
procedures.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Maureen. Any other questions regarding business items 1 through 6? Is there a motion to approve business items 1 through 6?
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Moving on to placement and services for CSC and CPSC. Are there any questions or comments? Is there a motion to approve our placement and services for CSC and CPSC?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Moving on to appointments. Are there any questions or comments regarding our 3 appointments? Is there a motion to approve our appointments?
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Moving on to minutes. These would have been from the November 18th meeting. Are there any questions or comments? Is there a motion to approve our minutes from the November 18th meeting? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to second read. So these are policies that the policy committee reviewed. David Weinstein summarized them for us in the last meeting on the 18th. And it's a second read, so we will be voting to adopt these policies. Are there any questions or comments regarding, and I'll list them, policy 4326, 1010, 1010.2, I totally hashed that, 0110, 0110.2, 0111, 0111E, which is an addition. Are there any questions or comments? Is there a motion to approve these 5 policies? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Moving on to new business. So this is going to be our consideration of the nominated school calendar for the following year, 26-27. We're going to look at it tonight. We're going to vote to adopt it in the next meeting, just to give everybody a sense of the timeline here. So do we have a visual? We're going to pull it up, or?
We hadn't planned, do you have it? Wow, the team is so good.
Thank you.
I stay away and the team does good stuff.
I don't know, Dr. McCarthy, if you want to give any background, or Maureen, and then just have a quick.
Yeah, let me, a big thank you to Melissa DiLiberti for having this ready so early. That is dependent on 2 external entities, the Regents, not a small one, and then BOCES having their calendars lined up. If you vote in 2 weeks to adopt this will be the earliest in anyone's memory that it's been adopted. And that was Melissa being on it, but also then BOCES and New York State, having the information. Let me highlight in a cover memo that Melissa D. helped with pre-Labor Day opening, because Labor Day is late this year. I'm sorry, early. What am I trying to say?
Early opening, but late Labor Day.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mashed it, you cleaned it up. So we're lining up with most of the districts around. BOCES will be a little bit off. but we need to do this date as proposed, or else there are a number of things in this calendar you just can't get done. Regional alignment is here. I want to stress that. I already stressed the early preparation. One thing I do feature, there are a number of things going on in this calendar. I think this calendar overall meets the value system for Hastings as I've come to understand it. It's strong on instructional time. It's also strong on recognizing cultural observances. And also, now this is important, we're really looking at our Superintendent Conference Day and beginning to tie those into, yes, teacher-led work, and also now, and the principals asked me to put this in, and Melissa Szymanski, who learned about it after the meeting, did 3 cheers and a backstand and a backflip saying thank you. But the February 3rd Superintendent's Conference Day will be a winter data conference. Truth on Sources, Lauren Iorio said this is in her previous stop what they would do. We will be very careful to have this be substantially teacher-shaped, but the principals asked for it as a way to really give, frankly, district emphasis on data and evidence is something we're looking at. We also moved this meeting a month earlier. Again, the principals asked for that for a little better rhythm. So that's one of the bigger changes here. Otherwise, I think it's a very straightforward calendar. We are fortunate this year, based on where a number of the cultural observances, some are religious, how they fall, that allows us to get them all in. Future year is going to be the future. We can't sort of handle that now. So I don't have anything else to add to this. Just if there are questions, comments,
I was
thoughts.
going to ask you, Bill.
Sure.
Just noticing that several would-be holidays are on weekends, at least 3, right? And maybe 4. That just makes it work as it is. There was no way to not start before Labor Day? Kind of that took all of that into consideration, right?
Well, we are starting before Labor Day.
Yeah, so I'm saying like,
She needs to start after Labor Day.
yeah, like we normally start after Labor Day, but I know Labor Day is late,
Yeah,
so I
I think
understand
given how
that
late
piece.
Labor Day is, we felt that starting the second week of September for school would be really too late. I mean, most districts around us are starting either on the 1st or 2nd. BOCES is on the 8th, but the others are all pretty much in that. And I think Melissa D did a lot of comparative checking, but they're all lining up with where we are.
Okay.
And I think your instructional leaders feel that if we started second week of September, even though you might have your days, it's getting a little late.
Yeah.
Got you.
You'd have to
so-
lose a break, though. You'd have
Yeah,
to lose
we
a
get,
February
exactly. We wouldn't be able to do other things we were able to do with this.
Okay.
Now, in future years, making it all fit together may be a challenge, but that'll be that year, and every year we say what we're saying right now is, this works right now, let's see what we can do in the future.
Okay.
But good question, Maureen.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I mean, the one question I had was just around, and I always get what we're calling, what do we call April break? That's
Spring recess.
spring recess. Yeah, I guess, I know typically, I guess this year it's early as well. It looks like the next year it's going to be even earlier. Tell me a little bit about, just 'cause, not knowing and understanding this, why we wouldn't be able to move the break later in April, just so that we're creating more of a distance between President's Week and this break.
It's a great observation. This is where it's around regional alignment. Some might call it lemmings, but it's if we were to do that, we would be really off cycle with most other districts, which creates all kinds of issues for our staff and families. Some of that may happen anyway, athletic events, other programming, and all the rest. So I think, again, Melissa D, we've looked at this, it's lining up. We got transportation issues if we go on a different time.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, I guess that's my next
it
question.
also fits with where the religious observances are falling. We tend to peg to that, Passover, where you find where Easter is, and so that's what we're also, Good Friday,
When's
picking up
Easter?
all of
The
that.
only thing you could do, which would, you'd have to come in on Good Fridays, you could go the week after in March. Because the only really.
It's very early.
In March, I'm saying it's only Good Friday is the day you're getting, which is the 26th. Ours is doing a flip-flop. They're giving the week in April and not giving the week in March.
Say that again, Maureen?
No, I said as Melissa, because we were looking, most of the districts, like Bill said, I think Dobbs were consistent with, Ardsley does have the flip-flop, but they have more days, like that's the other piece. We have more superintendent's conference days, so they have a play of an extra day
They
that
have
we
more
don't
room.
have.
Yeah.
So then it becomes, you would want to give like Good Friday and probably Monday, like, so then we lose, it's just hard. Like other districts have different days that they're giving. We have more superintendent's conference days than they do.
For the March, April, May.
Because the Easter is the 28th of Easter is the 28th of March in 2027.
I guess
The 21st to the 29th.
Passover's late.
Yes.
Right.
I don't know. I guess I'm also on
Am I speaking to Mike?
also on the page about the very little in-school time between February and March break. And as it is, you know, we have a lot of weeks that I don't have 5 full days of school anyway. But I guess isn't it possible to kind of reach out to other
No, she has all the
districts?
We've done that.
Not just find out what they're doing, but see whether they also would be willing to consider doing it the other way.
Well, some people are.
I guess, I don't know. It just seems to me that you could easily give a week off in April that would include Passover, and you could give a long weekend in March that would be Good Friday, Easter. Obviously, years ago, we used to give Easter Monday off, but
I think, yeah, we've had it.
I don't know.
So we already have done a lot of coordinating. Ray Sanchez has circulated spreadsheets. Everybody's putting their stuff on. We can go back and look at that. My hunch is I'm going to come back and say, we like it or not, we really got to do this. But we can go and look, because the dilemma is getting too far out of sync. I mean, Ardsley may be doing that, and we can see how many others are.
Why can't they get in sync with us?
There's so much.
They're 2,200, I guess.
You're tying it in with the state, you're tying with BOCES, you're tying it in, and most people tie it closely to where that Good Friday, Easter falls. That's been traditionally what's been going on. We can go look. Hastings trying to convince a lot of districts to change for our sake, that I'm going to be direct, that's a non-starter.
Really?
Yes. So I think
We have
it's
faith in you,
better
Bill.
just to kind of see, because everyone's been sharing and been looking, and there tends to be a gravitating towards.
Right.
But we'll look
Can you
at
just
it.
scroll this down a little bit again? Down? Or up? No, to see February and March.
I mean, it's safe to say that every year that break is aligned with Easter. It looks like typically it bookends one way or the other on Easter. I'm imagining.
Yeah.
Not always.
sometimes.
Well,
Okay.
It depends on what Passover falls. It depends on its proximity to.
It's like multivariable.
Because there's like a full
Well,
month between Easter
I mean,
and.
we can go back and look. My memory is at least the last 4 years, it's all aligned with Good Friday. It's aligned every single year, the last 4 years
No,
at least.
always we have Easter. I mean, this would be an anomaly. I'm just saying, but some districts are
Which would be anomaly.
like not having them.
So if we
the
shifted
time
it
around-
away, meaning we've always
Yeah.
lined it up on,
Correct.
yeah, most districts, at least outside of the city, they line it up the way it's lined up here.
No, I would agree.
I mean, even if we shifted it so it's after Easter, bookended on the back half of Easter.
Yeah, so we'll look at it. I would urge us, though, alignment with other districts for
Sure.
all kinds of programming, transportation issues, and all the rest gets significant. So we get our buses through Ardsley, so they have to manage that. That's
But
something.
they have the opposite of what we
Yeah,
have.
yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Meaning, we'd have to sort that out. But let me go look at it and see what comes up. Are other questions?
I was just going to say, I'm thrilled about the data day in February. I think that's really exciting. And then just the way the calendar falls, it actually does. It's quite inclusive in many ways. So I feel really good about that. I mean, I do understand your point about the week in March and the week in February. That seems like a lot. So I'd love to further think on it and see what other districts do as time evolves. But I do understand the challenges.
Right. I mean, Bill, I hear what you're saying. I appreciate
for
how
sure.
we need to align. It's not just about us. Just seems like when you think about instructional days and potential snow days in there, It just gets pretty chopped up for substantial instruction. But
Okay, do we have to have the full February week off? Or am I just rocking the boat now in terrible ways?
Rocking the boat.
Okay.
But I think, I think
Honestly, when we give yeah, but also when we give,
Stone me.
let's say an account. I mean, a real issue logistically, apart from all the other things, if we give, let's say, 3 days off, right? Tons of families take the whole week anyway, and so the teachers get
That's
burdened.
true.
It's like we're giving extra days off, and we interrupt instructional time. It's you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. A little bit. It's hard.
You're right, and I think just also being cognizant. I mean, a lot of our staff, teachers, they're on those. Like they themselves and their families are on that
Yeah,
same, right?
absolutely,
So
also.
the last thing we want to do is be the only ones when all of our staff, their kids are celebrating wherever they might live. So I know that's a consideration as well. Just
I think as you go up, most schools above a certain, would have the Easter, there's a lot of
100%.
schools, like York, they're going to have that week. So
Yeah.
I think that's,
this is what the city's doing.
Yeah, it's hard, but it does lay out fairly tidily. So
we'll take both weeks.
yeah, take both weeks. Any other questions or comments for Bill to circle back with us on? Okay, so we'll have that in the intervening week before we have 2 weeks before we have to vote on it again. Moving on to an adoption of the revised 25-26 district-wide safety and emergency management plan. We've all been updated on that in executive session. Are there any public questions or comments?
Just one question. Just reviewing the document, and maybe this is just a question for the future. But I noticed that in the policy that there was room for a student to be on the safety committee, and I just looked at the document, noticed we didn't have one, and I know that we've got excellent participation. You guys are paying attention, right? Good. And I was just curious if that would ever be something that we would look for down the line.
Well, the district-wide safety committee, do we have students?
I think we do have students, don't we?
On the district-wide, it should be, there's typically one rep listed, but I'll try. Unfortunately, Frank left because he could speak. Alteris left could speak to a little bit more about that. I do think that's a good idea, to engage more students in the process because they do know their school and know the things that could help improve our plan. So I'll
Yeah, it's
bring
in the
that
policy.
to. Huh?
It's in the policy to have it, not
No, they are,
mandatory.
but I was just thinking, how much do we, should we, kind of earlier to that conversation about Tara's really being able to work more closely and engage more with students, groups, and things like that. But I definitely know there has been one rep, but not all the time, even the external reps. Sometimes we don't always have full representation at all of our meetings.
Copy.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the 25-26 district-wide safety and emergency management plan?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in
Was there a
favor?
memo with it?
Aye. Thank you. Moving on to second public comment. There's no public, so no comment. Moving on to agenda review. This will be for the last meeting in 2025, December 16th. Apart from the boilerplate, what I already mentioned, the only thing that's of note is currently is we're going to have the vote to approve the calendar. So, and then we'll backfill if there's anything else. But that it looks fairly light at this moment. And any questions or comments? No. Moving on to Board of Education comments. I'll start. Happy birthday, David Barone.
We could sing.
Let's not.
And Maureen this week.
And Maureen
Maureen.
Caravallo, yes. Happy birthday.
Right, also
Happy
Maureen. I'm
birthday,
sorry,
Maureen, too.
Maureen C, happy
It's
birthday.
it was already or it's coming up still?
Monday.
No, Monday.
On Monday.
It's my birthday week, so it's still,
Okay.
still in the month.
I do month,
And I would just
forgot
note,
her-
you don't have to mention it here if you don't, but I think we all looked at it. David Weinstein provided a very nice summary of the legislative session
yes.
meeting.
Very
And a real hard look at how difficult it is to sort out school funding. There's a lot of good information in there, so thank you very much for that.
Yeah, it was a great session. Do you want me to?
Sure,
just,
if you want
know,
hit some highlights.
Yeah, sure.
Your
Just,
impressions or...
Yeah, just broadly, Bill and I attended it was a legislative session for the, I'm going to get this right, Bill, Lower Hudson Council of Superintendents, and I think there's another S.
School
School
superintendents.
superintendents, right.
As opposed to building New York City supers.
Supers, yeah, I mean, we were fixing plumbing. No, but we were fortunate enough to be at the same table with some other superintendents from Chappaqua, from Irvington, from Ardsley, from Greenberg, and then Ms. Stewart Cousins, who represents us. We were at her table, which was great because obviously she represents Hastings, and we just talked about a lot of really fundamental issues around state funding, around how that funding is distributed, around the continuum of better understanding what goes into that funding on a state level and how that affects Hastings. And so the superintendents came ready, and everyone presented some really great information, and hopefully we can make a difference because and there's a lot goes into these thinking. So I was very fortunate to attend, and thank you for the opportunity.
And again, thank you, because after reading it, I felt like I had attended, so those are good notes.
I just want to say, one of the things I thought was fascinating that they spoke about there that you had put into your notes was the charter schools, because, for us too, currently we have 2 students that attend charter schools. Yeah, so, and, the tuition and busing, it was, similar to another district report on that, and that's not something, we don't necessarily know they're there until we're informed of it. And we've had children move here who are attending charter schools, and, that's their right, but we also have to bus them there, right? So the charter tuition is usually, it's not terrible. I mean, it's better if they attend here, and these are, general education students, so it could be upward of $25,000, but plus the bus. So we've had that the last few years ourselves, and even sometimes children who have attended school here, and then they go to the charter school, and then the charter school sometimes will want to do a special ed evaluation, which then I would imagine that we would have to pay them to educate them further. So I was glad that was brought up, because even for us in one given year, it's not something I budget for if I'm not aware of them. And then, it's something, even if I budget for, there could be another student that attends, and we, that to me is something not typical, but when it does happen, it's an expenditure of funds that you don't even plan for.
Yeah, well, the example there was from Irvington, and it's close to $50,000
Well,
hit.
we have children.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So that number, so if we've had a couple, we're upwards of close to 100 then, and that's straight out of operating. And also, it's not clear that even if the student doesn't stay, goes elsewhere, that money may not come back
Well,
if they
you
don't
get a
finish
very
the year.
right, and then you get the very little amount back, like $3,000 or $4,000, and you do get some busing aid on. But again, it's something that it's also unpredictable, right? Because they already could be there or just register, and there's not a lot you can do of it. And I understand maybe the intention of whatever people think about charter schools, the city's a different, Yonkers and all the rest. I'm kind of surprised that our students would even be eligible to go, and there's so many limited spaces, say in Yonkers, that students that live here are able to. I just thought that was fascinating myself when we first had students going, because I didn't think that was the intention of the charter schools initially when they were, but that's something, because the state funding formula, and she's very honest, and I always love to, because she'll tell you like it is, the tax cap's not going away, it's tied to rent control. There's things in which are not going away, they're not going to make modifications to it. The funding formula is what it is, but those are things like the charter schools, and you hope those are the other kind of outside the normal things that start to hit schools, and you're like, can you help us with this? Sometimes they can, sometimes they can't, but the formula is not something they can change easily.
Yeah. Oh, thank you again for going. Thank you,
Could
Bill.
I ask David a question? I don't know if it came up, but just on the concerns about how the budget might be kind of from the state redistributed. Did that subject come up?
Well, yeah. So this is the big part of this was this Rockefeller Foundation report, right? So that report was released last year, and I think what part of this legislative session was essentially asking the state to, and Bill, correct me because I want to get this right, essentially to give 2 years to kind of implement this program and see how it's going to work before they start reconfiguring the money. And that was kind of a big part of it, right? Because we want to make sure that on a state level, this thing can actually work in practice. So that was kind of, I forget the term. What was the term? I'm forgetting.
Yeah, so, no, that's great. For someone who's brand new to this, that's excellent. It's a couple things is very strong leadership coming out of this group of districts historically, and does have some moments. It's 60, 70 districts, and so policy here pushes matter. Zeroing on 5 areas, intentionally not asking for new money, but asking for structural stuff. So one is the Rockefeller Institute had the study, and it's sort of sat. It's not been moved on. And so the view is it's the hold harmless. Keep the hold harmless in place for 2 years, because last year the governor potentially took it away, did not at the end, but say for the next 2 years, keep that in while, and this is key, you're modeling what are the recommendations. Don't just throw the recommendations in, model them, and do that thoughtfully. And that's part of the recommendation here. The charter piece comes up under another recommendation, which is protect public ed. Very explicitly, it says we honor parent choice, which is a very important statement, because some could say, be silent on that, but we honor parent choice, but don't do it on the backs of us financially. Particularly the charter piece. We did discuss the emerging voucher piece. I don't think that's going to have any legs of note in New York State. The senator was very clear that that's just not. I actually, having some background on this, because I used to work the other side of this in the Catholic school world, I don't see how this math adds up. But be it is, we don't. Senator saying very strongly, don't worry about that. That was actually a much bigger worry ahead of the meeting amongst the superintendents than the charter piece. But now, as Maureen's shown, for us, the charter piece, and for Irvington just up the road, I mean, that's real money. I mean, you voted tonight on some $40,000, $50,000 adjustments, and you did that great with caution. But like that, we could be looking at twice that money out of our control, out of operating.
Yeah.
So that's a long answer, but
thank you.
I hope it helps.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, what was interesting with the charter conversation was that what was being discussed was that a lot of this is being driven by the SUNY system, right? On a large level.
I don't know if it's driven by the
Or not
SUNY
driven,
system, or
but-
the SUNY is an authorizer, one of the authorizers of charter schools across the state. I mean, I think it's driven by this idea of choice and market-based education reform, sort of have like different options within a setting so that parents can choose, and then all boats will rise and get better. If that actually happens, who knows? But suburban charter schools has increasingly become a phenomenon in the past 10 years. You can really look at the case studies of Roosevelt and Hempstead on Long Island and see how that really, the growth of charter schools there has really impacted their districts. But that's also where you have charter schools within a single district as opposed to ones adjacent to a district.
Big topic. Thank you, Justice Jody.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that I think everybody knows, but that I thought the Dispatch had a very beautiful article about Damaris. And I very much appreciated how they talked about her. I thought it was well done. And just note that I believe there's going to be a service for her on January 24th.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? Is there a motion to adjourn our meeting?
Go ahead, Dave.
So moved.
It's your birthday, why not? Is there a second? Is it, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Happy
Thank you, Patrick.
birthday.